Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In our last video, we explored the basic data types in Python, including int, float, string, complex and boolean. We also learned how to perform typecasting, and of course, we did some hands-on coding to make the concept stick. Today, we are moving on to something even more exciting, collection data types in Python. We'll be taking a deep dive into one of the most powerful and flexible ones, the list data type. I highly recommend watching this on a bigger screen and coding along with me. That's the best way to learn. If you get stuck anywhere, feel free to drop your questions in the comments below or email me at saket.saketlabs@gmail.com. I'd love to help. And before we jump in, if you're enjoying this Python series, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future lessons. It really helps the channel grow and keeps me motivated to create more awesome tutorials for you. Alright, let's get started. So, collection data types. Collection data types are those data types which can store multiple values in a single variable. For example, if you see my list is a variable and you can see my list stores multiple values in it like 1, 2, 3, hello, 4.5, etc. So similarly there are other collection data types like lists, which are tuples, sets and dictionaries. So we'll be diving into each one of them, finding out the properties of each of them and the methods that we can that exist on these data types, and we'll explore those things in the coming videos. In this video, we'll be diving deep into lists data type. Alright, let's get back to the most important and the best part of this video, which is hands-on. Before we get started, I would like to urge you guys to get to your PCs or your desktop and watch it on a bigger screen and do hands-on along with me, so that you'll be able to grasp the most out of it. So as you can see here, I have many problems that I'll be trying to solve throughout the video. So I request you to watch the video till the end of it, so that you will be able to grasp all the concepts that are being taught in this video. So let's get started. So the first topic that we are going to see, and the only topic that we are going to see in this video, are lists. Lists are basically variables with multiple data in it. For example, here you can see a variable number has multiple integers in it. Similarly, here you can see list can also have multiple different types of data also in it. Here this is integer, this is a string, this is a float, and a list inside a list is also possible in this. So let's try to run this. I'll open the interactive terminal, and now to initialize an empty list. An empty list is a list without any elements in it. As you can see, there is nothing in it. It is just an opening brace and a closing square brace. So it's an empty list. To create an empty list, we just have to initialize the variable with a closing and opening and closing braces. That's it. So if we try to print the empty list, as you know, the variables in the interactive terminal can also be print using the print statement or just the name of the variable. I'm just going to type the name of the variable here. So here you can see an empty list is being printed. Similarly, if you want to create a integer list of integers, we can do this. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. And if you print numbers, you can see all the numbers are in this variable called numbers. So to access an element from the list, we use something called indices. Before that, let me tell you about the indices. So here you can see, if you want to access a first element of a list, we access it using 0. For example, numbers of 0. To get the first element of a list, we use of 0. Open brace, close brace, in between that 0. If you print it now, you can see 1. As the first element in the list is 1, you are able to see the number 1. If you want to get the second element, you just have to type numbers of 1. You get 2. As you can notice, the indices starts from 0, meaning the first element can be accessed with the index 0. Second element can be accessed using the index 1, third 2, and so on. So that is how we get the elements out of a list. So here, if you want to create a list of a string, you can do it this way. When you pass a string to this list method, it will take each of the character inside a string and then add it to the list like this. For example, now if I try to print this variable, you can see each and every character of this string is an element in this list. So one more thing here, to access the last element of a list, we can do numbers of -1. -1 is the last element of the list. So this way of specifying the index to access the elements from the last is called negative indexing. So to access, normally we use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to access the list from the last, we use something called negative indexing, which is, this is -1, 40 is -2, 30 is -3, 20 is -4, and 10 is -5. So that is about the negative indexing. So let's try to solve the problem here, stock price movement. So let's create a file for this program. I'm going to name it as stockprice.py. The question here is, we are given a list consisting of stock prices for 7 consecutive days. Let's say the stock price is 180 rupees, then 182, then 179, then 150, then 192, then 200, and then 212. So we have to find out the difference between the starting day of the week and the end day of the week. So to do that, what we have to do is, we have to get the starting day, first day price. To get the first day price, which is 180, we have to get the first element of this list. To get the first element, we know we can use the index 0 to get the first element. Let us try to print to verify if we are getting the correct values. So I'm going to print this, and now I'll try to run it. When I run it, you can see here it is 180. We are getting the correct value. Now we have to get the last day, which is 212, last day's price. To get the last element of a list, we know that we can use negative indexing, which is, to get the 2 and 2, we have to give an index called minus 1. Let's verify. If I run it, we get 212. To get the difference between these 2 days, we can use this last day price minus first day price. So we get the difference using this. If we subtract the last day's price with the first day price, we'll get to see how much the stock has moved from the first day to the last day. So we'll print the difference. If I try to run it, yeah, here we got the same error that we used to get before, which is integer cannot be concatenated with the string. So we have to now convert this diff variable to string. So as we know that to convert any variable to string, we just have to wrap it around a string method, str method. So now we'll be able to execute it. Yeah, it is 32. So the difference between the first day of the stock price to the last day of the stock price is 32 rupees. Now let's proceed to the next concept. So now we have learned how to access the any element from the list. So now let's see how we can select a range of elements from the list. For example, how about if I want to get this particular week's data. For example, if I have a stock price of 100 days, and if I want to get the stock prices of first week of the whole series, then how do I find it? Now let's learn about that. The concept of getting a part of a list is called slicing. So here you can see my list consists of 5 elements, and here you can see there is a specific method of indexing which is 1:4. 1:4 is 1 till 4th index. Instead of is-to, we call it till. So my list index 1 till 4th. Index 4 is exclusive, meaning so the elements from the index 1 till 3 will be written to us. So let's try that with an in the interactive terminal. So as we have a string called from string, let's try to get from S till H. So to do that, from string of the first index that we want is 0 till 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let us try to print this. As you can see, if we add 6 here, we get only till the 5th index. So to get till the 6th index, instead of 6, we are going to add 7. So when I add 7, you will be able to see we are able to get the full string Saket. Similarly, since we are starting from the 0, we need not specify the 0. So 0 can be excluded unless there is any other start point other than 0. We might have to mention it. For example, if I want to start from A, then I need to mention, because this is the first index. This is not the start of the index. We can exclude specifying if we are trying to specify the start of the index or the end of the index. Let me explain it to you with an example. So here, as you can see, we got Saket. If we try to print from 0 to till 7, so which can also be achieved using this from string. Instead of specifying 0, I'll directly use the colon and then 7. That produced the same result as well. As you can see, the same result is being produced if we don't specify the 0. So if we want to exclude the last last indexer. So we can do this way. For example, if you want to print the labs, so what we have to do, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 till 8 9 10 11. If you print till only 10, then the S gets excluded. Sorry for that. So here you can see S gets excluded. So if you want to include S as well, we have to give the index 11. Now we are getting till S. So if we exclude this 11, then also we'll get the similar result. 7 till end. If we don't specify any number after colon, it is assumed that it is till the end of the list. Similarly, if we don't specify any number before the colon, we can assume it is from the start of the list. Here I haven't specified any number, so it is considering till the end of the list. So it is returning from the 7th index till the end of the list. This is about slicing. Let's try to solve an example to understand the slicing example. Slicing concept. Sorry. So I'm going to create a file called orders.py. The orders.py has each week's orders. So here, as we can see, there are several orders in the first week and there are several orders in the second week. If we want to get only the orders that are placed on the first week, we can do something like this. The first week consists of 7 days. So to get the 7 days of orders, what we can do is orders from the start of the week, from the start of the list, for 8 days. If you specify 7 days. If you specify 8 here, we'll get 7 days order. Let's try to run this. As you can see, we got the first week's orders. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It was supposed to end till here itself. Okay, so I've specified 8, but we know it's 0 based index, so we have to specify till 7. So if you see 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, we have to get it till here. The index of 220 is 6, so if you want to get it till 220, we have to add one more index, which is 7. So to get from 0 to 7, we use this 0 till 7, which returns 120 till 220. So the next concept that we are learning is modifying list. Let's assume we have a list here like this, and if we want to modify any particular letter, any particular element in a list, so what we can do is we can get that particular index. For example, if I want to modify from string, if I want to modify B with S, so we have to get the index of B, which is 0 1 2 3 5 6 7 8 9, and replace it with this replace it with a new value, which is I'm going to type S itself. So now if I try to print from string, you can see B is replaced with S. So if you want to append a new element into a list, what we can do is there is a method called append on a variable, on the lists variable, which is from string dot append. If you want to invoke any method on a list, we can use the variable's name to which the list has been initialized. Here if you see, list has been initialized to string. So if you want to invoke any method on this list, we just have to do dot variable name dot append. So we are going to dig deep into this in the future classes when we learn about classes. So for now, let's just understand, if you want to invoke any method on a list, we use dot and the name of the method. So if you invoke from list from string dot append, and if we include z, so this z value gets added into this list. Let me now try to run this. Here you can see the z got added at the end of the list. When we use dot append method, it will add the elements at the end of the list. So let's try to understand the appending problem with an example. So the question here is, we are managing an inventory. I'm going to name the file name as inventory. So at the beginning of the day, the inventory is empty. So we are going to accept elements from the user and try to add it to inventory. So to accept the elements into inventory, we have to get from the user. So I am going to specify item equal to, I am getting it from the user. As we know, we can use input method to get the values from the user. So once the user enters the number of quantity, then we are going to add it into the inventory. So to add it into inventory, what we can do, we have an inventory variable and we can do dot append method on the inventory variable and add the item into the list. So now if I try to print the inventory, we'll be able to see that this item would have got added into the inventory. I'll try to run this program. So I specify 500 quantity and 500 got added into the list. If we want to convert this 500 string into integer, we just have to wrap it around int method. Yeah. Once you wrap it around int method, the string that we get from the user will now be converted into integer and then will be appended into this list. So let me try to run that now. As you can see, if I enter 500 again, previously it used to be a string, but now it is an integer. So the next concept that we are going to learn here is extending. So if we have to extend the first list to the second list, and if we want to combine first list and the second list, so we use this extend method. So let's try to run that in an interactive terminal. I'm going to clear everything. Let's assume I have a list which has values 1, 2, 3 and another list called y which has values 3, 4 and 5. If I want to extend x and y, then x dot extend of y. When I do this and if I try to print x, you can see this variable x got this list got appended with this list. This is what the extend method does. Let us now try to understand the concept of extend better with an example. Again, we are going with the inventory example itself. So instead of accepting input once, we are going to accept input multiple times now. So I'm going to copy this multiple times. Let's say we copy paste it n number of times, and let me try to run this. If I enter 10 quantity, now the quantity is 10. Now the inventor has 10 quantity, and if I again type 20, this 10 is the list is now appended with value 20. And if I type 30, again the list got appended with 30. 40, again the list got appended with 40. So as and when I keep adding the number of quantity, it gets appended with the list itself. So we learned about append and extend. Now we are going to understand the concept of insert. So to do that, we have a variable x which already has this value 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if we want to insert some value inside it again, and I invoke the method insert, and if I try to insert the value 1, so here you can see we got an error saying insert expects 2 arguments but it only got 1. As you can see here, it accepts 2 arguments, two values instead of 1. That's why it is throwing an error. So the first value that here we see in the insert method is first value that we are going to see in the insert method is the index, and the second value is value. So here you can see the index is 1, which is this one, and 2 is the value. So when we invoke the insert method, 2 gets inserted at the index 1, and all the elements after the index 1 will be shifted 1 position towards the right. So what I'm trying to say here is, let us assume we have a list called 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and if we try to insert 5 at the index 1, what happens is, at the index 1, this is the index 0 will be same. At the index 1, 5 will be inserted, and all the elements after the index 1 will be shifted right, meaning now the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 will be having the index. Previously it has the index 1, now it has the index 2, this has the index 2, now it has the index 3, this had the index 3, now it has the index 4. So let's try to run this and see. We have a list consisting of values, and if we now try to insert at the position 1 and the value 5, and now if I try to print the variable, and if I try to print the list, here you can see 5 got inserted at the position 1. So again, next the concept is to remove any element from the list. So remove accepts just one argument, which is the index. So when you specify the index to remove method, at that particular index, whichever the method is there, that will get removed. So here we can see I have an example right here, so which is of a Bangalore's metro stations. Here I want to remove a station which is ISKCON, which doesn't exist. So to do that, what I'll do, let me copy this and paste this. if I have to remove iscon station, what the index of the iscon station is 1. So to remove the element at the first index, we just have to do train root dot remove 1. Sorry. So the index that remove method accepts, the argument that the remove method accepts is not an index. Instead, it is the value itself. So to remove any particular value, what we have to do? Train route dot remove. We are specifying the value itself. I thought it was an index, but it's actually a value itself. So if I try to remove the value and try to print the list, you can see iscon has been removed here. So also we'll try to add a station between Sandal Soap Factory and Pinya. So to do that, what we can do, train route dot insert at which index? At second index. This is 0, 1, 2. I want to insert the element right between Sandal Soap Factory and Pinya 2, and I want to insert Yashwantpur. Now if I try to print the list, you can see Yashwantpura got added between Sandal Soap Factory and Pinya. The next method we are going to look at is pop. What this pop method does is, if we don't specify any index, by default it just kicks out the last element of the list. So let me try to run this. We have a list, and if I say list.pop and I don't specify any arguments in it, it just eliminates the last element. The pop method not only eliminates the last element but also returns it. So the remove method here, as we saw, it just removes the value, but pop method not only removes the value but also returns it. That's why if you see, when I did list.pop, it removed the last element but also it returned the last element. That's why we are able to see 30 here. So, and if you want to clear and if you specify any index to the pop method, let's say 0, it removes the 0 index. Now if I try to print the list, you can see only 20 exists. Without specifying argument, we removed 30. With specifying index 0 as an argument, we removed 10. Now the final list only has 20. Here also you can see, when we specify the index, it also returns the value. So the next method we are going to see is clear. What clear does is, it just removes all the element inside the list. If we now type list, now the list is a empty list. So when we apply .clear method on any list, the list gets empty. So the next method we are going to learn is count method. So what count does is, it basically counts number of elements that are present in the list. For example, if I specify 2, there are 3 2s inside this list. So 3 will be returned. Let us try to run this list. So if I try to count and specify the value that I want to count, it returns 3. Similarly, if I want to count number of 1s inside the list, there is only 1 1. So 1 is returned. And there is also a method called sort. So what sort basically does is, it by default sorts the given list in an ascending order. Let me try to run this. So we have nums initialized with the value 3, 1, 4 and 2. So if I want to sort this list, what I have to do, nums dot sort. When I do this, nums list will now get sorted. And if I try to print nums, you can see it previously it was 3, 1, 4, 2. Now it is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if we want to sort this list in a descending order, what we have to do is we have to specify it as an argument. Reverse equal to. When we do this, the default sort order gets reversed. The default sort order is ascending order. So when we specify reverse equal to true, now it will be sorted in a descending order. Now if I try to print nums, you can see 4, 3, 2 and 1. So now let's try to understand the sorting with example. So everyone must have seen in Amazon, there is an option called sort from low to high and high to low. We are going to implement that now. So let's assume there are products as prices that is specified in this list. Sort from high to low, from low to high first, high, we can directly have this sort method invoked on it. And if you want to sort from high to low is a descending order, so we have to provide an argument and specify it as true. Now if we try to print this, now let me try to run this. As we see from the previous examples, whenever we try to invoke sort didn't return anything. So it basically sorted the same list itself. So when we try to assign it to a variable, since this returns nothing, we got to see this error, none and none. So none basically means nothing. Nothing has been returned from the sort. So what we should try to do instead is, when we try to sort this, since this sort method sorts this products itself, we'll just have to print the products. Now if we try to run this, we can see the first is ascending order from low to high. So you can see 22, 53, 90, 110, 120 and 130. So and if you try sort it in a reverse order, which is descending order, we can see the prices from high to low. So the next concept is, if you want to copy a list into another variable, we can use a method called copy. So let's say I have a list called A, which has 10, 20 and 30, and I want to copy it to B. I can invoke copy method. Copy. What this basically does is, it copies all the values from A into B. So if I try to print B, now I have B as 10, 20 and 30. Both A and B has same value. Now if I try to append B with 40, now B has 40. Additionally 40 has been added. And now if we try to print A still has 10, 20 and 30, but B has 40. As we only appended 40 to B and not to A, only B has 40 and not A. So there are several other operations. For example, if you have to concatenate two lists, concatenate means if you want to add this list into this list itself, what we can do is we can use plus operator on list. If you use plus operator, what it does is it will add both list A and B and returns a new list which consists the values of both A as well as B. Let me show it to you. So I have list A and B, and if I want a list consisting of both the values of A and B, I'll do A plus B. Now you can see the new list that is returned has the values of A first 1 2 3 and B next 4 and 5. If we do B plus A, here you can see the value of B are 4 and 5, which is first in the list, and then the value of A, which is next 1 2 3 are next in the list. And if we want to repeat the same list twice, what we can do is A into 2. A previously had the values 1 2 and 3, and since we have repeated it twice, we have the values 1 2 3 repeat 1 2 and 3 repeated again here. So if you do it again, now since we have repeated it thrice, the values are repeated thrice here. So the next is membership. We can, if you want to check whether a particular value is in the list or not, we can use in operator, in keyword. So what this in keyword does is it will try to check if a value specified is in the list. If it is there in the list, it will return true. If it is not in the list, it will return, if 2 is not in the list, it will return false. Let's try to do that with an example. As we know, the variable has 1 2 and 3. If we have to check whether 2 is in list A, yes, 2 is in list A. If you want to check if 10 is in list A, we get false, meaning 10 is not in the list A. So we can also use not in, which basically what it does is if 10 is not in list A, it will return true, and if 10 is in list A, it will return false. So let's see that. Again, we will take the list A itself. So 1 is not A. 1 not in A is false. Since 1 is already in A and we are using not in, it is returning false. So 10 not in A, true. It is returning true because 10 is not in A. As you can see, 10 is not in A, it is returning true. So the next method is length. So the len method is used to find the length of an array. For example, here you can see there are 5 elements in a list. If you call len method, then it returns 5 because there are 5 elements in a list. Let's say that. So as you can see, there are 5 elements in this list. If you find the length of an x, then you get as 5. Notice here we are not calling x.len. Instead, what we are trying to do here is we are invoking a len method and passing the list into it. So similarly, to find now that we have learned about the membership as well as length, let's try to solve an example. Check if a student is in a class or not. Consider the student's names are Ramesh, Suresh, Saket, Anand. So if I want to find out if Anand is in the list, so what should I do? I should check Anand in students. So since Anand is in this list, we should be getting true. So notice if I type small anth and if I check whether that is in if anth is in students, we get it as false, as Python is case sensitive and it treats capital A and small a differently. So similarly, if I want to check anybody, if they're not in the students, let's say Bob not in students. Since Bob is not in students list, we get as true. And to find out number of students in the class, we just have to pass students to len method. As you can see, there are 4 students, we are getting 4 as the value. So there are 2 more methods, which are min and max. We use min and max to get the minimum most number in a list or maximum most lowest number in a list. So let's see that. So I'm initializing x with this list. If I want to find out the least number in a list, I just pass the list into the min method. It returns 1. As 1 is the smallest number in the list, we get 1 as the return value. And similarly, if we want to get the maximum number in a list, we pass it to max method. Here we get 9 as the response return value. So similarly, if you want to find out the sum of all the numbers in a list, we can pass it to a method called sum. We get 24. There is one more exercise here. So consider scores of each student is 420, 425, 600, 625 and 630, and we should get the minimum marks of all the students, the least marks of all the students. Then we pass the scores list to min function and we get 420. As 420 is the smallest in this list, we are getting 420. And if we want to get the highest score in the list from the list, we can use max method. So as 630 is the maximum number, we get 630. So all of these methods sounds overwhelming and might be too hard to remember. So you should remember that there is no need to remember any of this at all. You just have to know that there are methods to perform these operations. You will be slowly, by practice, you'll be able to remember as you keep on practicing. You don't have to remember everything at once. You just have to know that there are such methods to perform such operations. That's it. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed the hands-on learning experience. I recommend watching this video multiple times for the concepts to settle in. If you're watching this on your phone, I highly recommend switching it to a laptop and coding along. It will make your learning much more effective. In this session, we explored the collections data type in Python and dived deep into lists. All the code from this video has been pushed to the GitHub and you can find the repository link in the description below. So feel free to check it out and practice on your own. In the next video, we'll be diving into tuples, where we'll learn about properties of tuples, what they are used for, and how to create and manipulate them. So don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification and leave a like if you found this useful. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.